Alright, I've been pretty critical of Brandon Ingram this season, and part of the reason I'm so critical of Brandon Ingram is because I know he's capable of what he's doing right now. And when I say what he's doing right now, I don't just mean scoring the ball. If you look at the last 20 games for Brandon Ingram, he's been getting buckets. He's been averaging 26, 27 points on very good efficiency. But the last 5 games or so, there's been a difference. And that biggest difference, in my opinion, just watching, I don't have stats to back it up, but the biggest difference I see is the Pelicans in general are just playing a lot faster. And not only are they playing a lot faster, Brandon Ingram is the one with the ball in his hands a lot more, and he's the one making these quick decisions. I've made several videos highlighting how underrated Brandon Ingram is as a passer, but one of the biggest flaws with Brandon Ingram is his decisiveness, the quickness in how he makes these decisions. And the longer he waits to make these moves, the more time the defense has to see it coming. But what we've been seeing the last week or so, Brandon Ingram has been in attack mode all game. He's still taking some of the shots I wish he wouldn't take, but when he does it quick and decisive, it still is a better shot because the defense can't set up for it. Last night, perfect example, Herb Jones gets a steal, kicks it to Brandon Ingram. On a fast break, Brandon Ingram takes a pull-up mid-range jumper 1 foot inside the three-point line. I would have loved him to just stop and take the pull-up 3 or take one more dribble and get to the rim, but I wasn't even that mad at the shot, even though it's a terrible shot, bro. Just take the pull-up 3. I wasn't even that mad because, again, it was in rhythm, it was in the flow of the offense, and it was decisive. And like I mentioned earlier, Brandon Ingram is the most underrated passer in the NBA, so no, these assists that are happening right now does not surprise me whatsoever. But I do think these assists are happening, one, because Trey Murphy is just knocking everything down right now, but Brandon Ingram himself is putting a lot more pressure on the rim, and the defense is having to help a lot more on Brandon Ingram going downhill, something we weren't seeing a couple weeks ago. Whether you want to say that's because of the toe injury or rust or whatever, we all know Brandon Ingram has a tendency to settle for that pull-up mid-range jumper. And yes, he's still taking a ton of them, but when the lane is open to get to the rim, lately he is taking that lane almost every single time. And he owes that to his teammates, and we're seeing what type of offense that can generate. Because he's the only one on this team, especially with Zion out, that could put pressure on the rim and create open looks for everybody else. And him taking the pull-up 3s in transition, as he's been doing a little bit more lately. And we seen it last night against the Clippers, Brandon Ingram dribbling the ball up. Westbrook has to kind of come out there because Brandon Ingram had taken that pull-up 3 earlier in the game. Brandon Ingram hits him with a little hesitation between the legs at the rim and one, even though he didn't get touched on that one. And a lot of the things I've touched on in this video have to do with transition, full court opportunities, which brings me to really my only complaint about Brandon Ingram right now. Now, he just had the 30-point triple-double, and I was gonna make this video before that game just about how bad Brandon Ingram has been at rebounding the ball. I can name like 4 or 5 games off the top of my head where Brandon Ingram gave up a crucial rebound. But I'm not gonna do that. We're not gonna harp on it. We're very positive about Ingram right now. We're very positive about the Pelicans right now. But I bring that up to say, Brandon Ingram just rebounding the ball could really help this team, not only just in the obvious way of not giving up offensive rebounds to another team, but just him getting the rebound and pushing the ball starts the break immediately. Think about some of your favorite players. Think about Steph Curry. How many times you see him get the board, pull up 3 in transition? Obviously, Brandon Ingram's not gonna be pulling up from 30 like Steph Curry, but you get the point. Steph Curry gets the board, it's immediate pressure on the defense. LeBron James, we already know what he is in transition. Giannis, we know what he can do in transition. Now, those guys are obviously special, and they put a level of pressure on the rim that Brandon Ingram is never gonna do. Even if you think of somebody like Kevin Durant, you don't really have a lot of memories of him just grabbing the board and going. Obviously he does it, but you don't really have that same level of fear because yes, he can take a pull-up 3, but he probably should take more. I'm talking about Kevin Durant here. And he's not gonna get to the rim like LeBron or Giannis, so you don't really have that same fear. So Brandon Ingram, he's never gonna be the weapon of Steph Curry or LeBron or Giannis in transition, but you get the point. He could be putting a lot more pressure on the defense if he actually went up and got the rebounds. Think of how many full court passes we've seen him make. And again, this all just goes into the Pelicans playing faster. And I think Brandon Ingram being the one to get the board and push the tempo could get the Pelicans 2 to 3 more easy buckets per game, and that all adds up. But we're gonna keep this video short and sweet. A few other things. We have to give Willie Green credit. Myself, I have been very critical of him, but this change in tempo, I have to give him credit for that. I have to give credit for CJ McCollum for not having an ego, and he's really taking a backseat to Brandon Ingram over these last few games, as it should be. Some of you guys are probably thinking that's a no-brainer, but for someone, a veteran like CJ McCollum, who has scored as much as he has in his career, to willingly take that backseat and play a leadership role, you have to give him a ton of credit for that. Jonas Valanciunas, I'm still indifferent on him. I don't really like him getting a ton of post-ups, but you got to admit it does help the offense get a little bit of ball movement when teams double him in the post. He's a willing passer, and he may not get the assist, but a lot of times his post-ups lead to corner threes for Herb Jones or Trey Murphy. So shout out to Jonas, and again, shout out to Willie Green, because I'm sure he's the one making these plays happen. More shout out to Herb Jones. A lot of people were thinking Herb Jones was the one that needed to go to the bench or play less. If you ever thought Herb Jones was the problem with this Pelicans team, I do not know what to tell you. You just don't know ball. It is that simple. Yes, he has some spacing issues, but if you watch him on a night-to-night basis, he's a special defender. He's not just a good defender, he's a special defender, and I'm so glad Herb Jones was not packaged in the OG Anunoby trade, because I believe Herb Jones and Trey Murphy are going to be better than OG Anunoby. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm biased, but I truly believe that. And last shout out obviously goes to Trey Murphy, who has been amazing, averaging about 20 points per game over his last 10, establishing himself as one of the best shooters in the NBA while also showing he's much more than just a shooter. We just seen him in a dunk contest. He's catching a lob, it seems like, every other game. He's competing on defense, competing on the boards. Trey Murphy looks like he has an opportunity to be an all-star in this league. A lot of people didn't see that coming. He even showed us a crossover into a step-back three the other day. He's really showing all of his game. But Pelicans fans, let me know, are you guys as positive as I am on the outlook for the rest of this season? Or do you guys think the Pelicans are going to revert to their old ways of playing slow, not really knowing where to go on offense? Is Brandon Ingram going to keep it up? Is Valanciunas going to stay motivated now that he's getting more post opportunities? Is CJ McCollum going to go cold again? A lot of things can happen, but I feel very good about where the Pelicans are right now. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm out. Peace.